Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to get started on your Squarespace site. This is that XD file that I created for you guys, and I went ahead and put in some pictures and my face and some work. It's not real projects I did, but they're just there as placeholders. So again, there's the full-on website, and then there is the portfolio only site, which it sounds like most people are going this route. I recommend it for your first one. If you're feeling really ambitious, you could do something like this. So what I did was I went in here and I added images to represent your projects. And again, there's just two options here. There's actually more options, but you can look at themes and sort of decide what route you want to go with that. And then down here, I put like a cool picture and then my face, and then I only changed this part. I didn't write all this stuff. Yeah, so over here, I built these artboards, and what these are is I like to export out my images from Adobe XD, and if you're more comfortable using InDesign, like you could set up a 1080 by 1080 or this size. I like to do squares a lot because 1080 by 1080 pixels is what Instagram uses. So what I like to do for my website is I export 1080 by 1080 sized images. That way I can use them on Instagram, Facebook, and my website and LinkedIn. I'm just double dipping all over the place. If you use InDesign, you can also add 4 pages or however many pages next to each other and sort of drag your image across 4 of them so that you can create like a scrolling carousel, which is cool. And then if you like it's like a 3:2 ratio. This is pretty close to that. And so these are a lot bigger than these because I like to have a little bit higher resolution before it goes into Squarespace. So one thing we didn't talk about is when you click on one of these projects, it'll take you to a page where you can have a picture and the text. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Squarespace, and what you'll want to do before you start is scroll down to the bottom and go to students and get that 50% off, which is nice. So if you go into templates, once you've started your trial and you go to portfolios, there's a lot to choose from. And by the way, this XD file and this method will work for Adobe Portfolio if you're going that route. So this one's pretty close to what I have designed here already. And again, you're not really using templates anymore. Like there's no such thing. There kind of is, but basically what you're picking is something that's already started. So this one looks the closest. So I'm just going to click start. And it's like, welcome. What's my title? This is going to be Portfolio Class Test 1. Continue. It's going to show you how to do this. You can edit pages, create pages. So it gives you like a brief overview, style pages, and get started. So the way that Squarespace works is, this is your preview. Over here is your menu. There's a mobile preview. This is to view it full screen. And over here is to edit. And so on the older Squarespaces, I believe edit was over here with full screen. I think they switched these, I can't remember. So over on the left side, you have help, settings, analytics, schedules, marketing, commerce, design, pages. So if you click on pages, it's sort of like what we have for ours, right? So it's work, blog, contact, and we need an about. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this blog. So this little trash can appears. I'm going to delete that. And then under the main navigation, I want about. So if you scroll through, they have blank, they have pre-done, they have collections and more. Let's look at page layouts. So they have general appointments, they have an about page already. None of those are really what I want. I'm just gonna click this one though. So it says about one. And the thing with web is you want everything to be labeled very nicely, because Google sends out their little crawling robots to look at your stuff. So I'm just gonna make it say about. And if you're like, well, I want work first before about, you just click and drag it up. Adjust over here. So, okay, so we have work, about, contact. Perfect. So these say demo next to them. So if I click on contact, it does a little loady thing, and it's going to show me this. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of lame. Let's see if they've got one that's closer to what I want. So I'm going to click new, page layouts, contact. This one's pretty close. So I'll click that. And it makes contact one. We don't want that. We want it to just be contact. And then we'll pull that down under about. So that's pretty much it for structure, right? We have work, which is, we can rename the portfolio, or you can have it work, whatever, about, and contact. So I'm going to click on work. And then there it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 works. And you can rearrange them like this. And then there's little dots. And I'm just going to delete that one, because I have 8 on my example. I'm going to go back to pages. So once I clicked on it, the demo went away, and it actually built that page for me. And you'll notice by the trash can, there's a little, it's hard to see, but right above work, or right above where I'm pointing, there's a little house. That means that that's the home page of the website. Cool. So I'm gonna hop down into design, and I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of the way because it works for both versions of the portfolio sites that you can do. So fonts. The way that fonts are set up is there's these families. So there's sans serif ones pre-done, there's serif, there's mixed. Right. If you know me, I'm not huge on serifs, but if that's your brand, fine. Okay, so you're like, well, I don't like any of these. Well, that's fine. So I'm going to click on pop-ins here. And the baseline is 16. So you don't really want to go below 16 on web, because it won't view very well. So I'm going to click. But anyway, I don't like pop-ins. I want Roboto. That's what I used in my. See, Roboto. So I'm going to click the gear. And under headlines, there's the font family and it's Poppins. And I don't want that. I want to browse all fonts. And let's scroll down. There it is, Roboto. And I'm going to click save. Sometimes Squarespace gets a little wonky. You just have to kind of give it some time. It's not as fast as a desktop program. It's on the web. So if it's broken or something, just click refresh. Let's see if it worked. So, okay, my family now is Roboto. My standard weight is 500. Style is normal. And so here's headers 1, 2, 3, and 4. And basically, this means like relative. I'm not going to get into the technical terms. You can look it up. But basically, it's like 4 times the regular is for the header. And this is 2.8, 2.2, yada, yada, yada. So headlines and then paragraphs is still set to Poppins. I'm going to switch it to Roboto. I don't know if that worked or not. Yeah, okay. The same thing. So you can change the spacing. You can change if you want it to be italics or not. The weight is like bold and stuff like that. Okay. And then buttons, you can pick the button typeface. I want my buttons to be Roboto. Click save. And then I want them to be, it already jumped them up to 500. I'm going to put them at like 700 for now and see what happens. You can always change this stuff. And this view page, or this page, isn't really a great example of what stuff will look like. I should really be on like the about page if it loads. Come on, Squarespace. There you go. So you can see, like, this is sort of how things are going to look. Okay, the next thing is colors. Cool. And if you'll see here, I have my blue, gray, and my black. So I'm going to move this over here. And I wrote down the hex code. And you get that by clicking on this and then clicking on the fill, and it's right here. Okay. So Squarespace uses a color palette, and then it uses theme colors. And so you can really get in there and change all of these, and then when you're building sections, you can pick which one you want. I think for this, it would be easiest just to edit your palette. So you're like, I don't like any of these. And then you're like, fine. So I'm going to go to custom colors. And so here's my colors. I got white, I got black, I've got accent, light, and dark. Well, I want my accent color to be this blue. So I'm going to copy that. And right here, I'm going to delete all that and paste and hit enter. So that's my accent color now. And then my light color is going to be hashtag AAA. It's this nice gray color. And black, I'm just going to use the custom black. So as you can see, these are sort of themes that you can use. So you can use this black bold, so it has the accent color over black, accent light, so it's the blue over the white, accent dark, it's white over the blue, There's like a nice gray. I probably won't use this one. I don't think I like visually how that looks. It's kind of gross. This one maybe. This one I don't really care for. This one's cool. This one's cool. So I'm going to hit save. Okay. So now we have fonts, colors, spacing we'll worry about once we get content in there, buttons. You can do solid buttons. Do I have any buttons on this one? Here, let's go to contact. I think there's a button on contact. So this is what the button is. So you can do solid, you can do outline. You can do square, rounded, pill. I like the square. Save. Let's reset this. Yeah, so now see it's, and then when you hover over. Okay, image blocks. We'll get into all this once we're deep in the roots. Okay, so we go back home and we go back to pages. And so there's all these like ones and things I don't really care for. So I just want to double check all that. So contact, I'm going to click on this gear and it pulls up the page settings. So this is general. So page title, contact, good. Navigation, contact, good. The slug is like, if so, this one is Begona, Triceratops, da. It'll be / contact. So if yours is like designerwebsite.com / contact, that's great. We want that. The SEO, it's gonna pull from this, but you can also do that. So the site is actually called Portfolio Class Test 1. So this is how it looks in Google. Contact, portfolio, blah, 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 blah. And you can add a description. You don't want it to be super long. You can add an image that will pop up when you share it on social. And then you can add custom code if you want. I'm going to click save. I'm going to go to the about, and I'm going to do the same thing, just double check everything. Page title is about, navigation title is about, slug is about, the SEO is about one, I don't want that, I just want about, and click save. And then same with work. SEO. Cool. I'm going to change this to portfolio. Save. Okay. So we have our 3 pages. 1, 2, 3. We have all their page settings set up how we want. Okay. Okay. We have our color set up. We have our typeface. So the next thing that we want to do is start making this thing look like our example. And so it's not in design, right? You don't click design to get there. You only get these things here. So the tricky thing to think about is it's going to be pages and then edit. So let's start with our header like this. So I'm going to click edit, right? And then this is what I showed on my, like on the last class. So sorry, phone's going off. So there are these sections. That's what these pluses are, right? So I can click here and it adds a whole section. Boom. And then within the section, there's all these like lines and teardrop things. So when you click on one of those, you can add all kinds of stuff: text, buttons, audio, products, Instagram, whatever. Okay, one last thing while we're in here. So this is a section. You can delete it, you can move it up or down, or you can edit. So there's another little edit here, and what this does is it lets you do section height. So right now it's medium, you can make it small, and there's a width, you can make it small, medium, or large. I like to keep the widths in the medium range. Background, so you can add an image to your background, or video. Video really slows it down, but you can add an image. So if we hit search image, it actually pulls from Unsplash if you want it to. So if you're like, oh, I want to add this to my site, do. Boom. Cool, right? And then you're like, oh, gross, I don't want black text over that. Well, you can go back to the background. Once you have an image in there, you can adjust the overlay. And then there's colors. And so right now it's the default. If you uncheck that, you can pick one of those other ones. So you can pick this dark minimal. Boom. It puts like the overlay becomes the background color, which is cool. And then the type. So, and then if I want to edit this, I just click in there, like it's Microsoft Word, and I go, whatever, make it stand out, whatever. And then I can always come in here and add some more opacity so you can actually read it. And then here's how you can see. So right now it's on small. You can do medium, you can do large. Cool. And then you up here where it says done, if you click save, it saves it. Now you have to be patient with Squarespace because again, it's online, so your connection matters. If you have it open for hours, it's gonna freeze up. You need to sort of restart. So I don't actually want this part in there. It's just like a good example. So I'm gonna go back to edit, and when I'm hovered, when I see these little guys, this pops up and I can just delete. Because I really just want this. Most of your screens will look more like this. I just have this huge iMac, so. Okay, so let's start making it look how we want. So up here, when you hover, it says edit site header. So this is gonna be the same across the whole thing, right? That's this, if you follow my mouse. You want it to be the same, it needs to be the same. You do not want it to be different page to page. So when you click on that, this little header dialog box opens up and there's layouts that you can choose from. I like the standard one. I click back. There's site title and logo, elements, colors, style. So let's jump into the color. Transparent. I actually want it to be this white minimal, which was the standard, right? You can make it transparent if you want to have your stuff hover over. I'm just doing a basic one. Elements. So social links, you can have them on up there. You can edit your social links, so you can connect an Instagram, a Facebook, or whatever you want. And then you can change the icon size. And if you have shopping, you can add a cart. We don't. A style, so it can be full width, which it is now, or it can be inset. But I don't have an inset set yet, so it looks the same. You can do vertical padding, so you can make it a little bit bigger. you really want your headers to be like in this range. You don't want them taking up too much space. And then you can do element spacing, so that spreads these out, and link spacing, it spreads all that out. And then if you want it to stay in one spot, so right now if I scroll down, you won't see the header anymore, but if you want to do fixed position, you can click that, and then it can be basic or scroll back. So basic is like this. Let me save. Come on, pudding. Okay, so basic is like this. See how it stays here? Okay, and then roll back. Or scroll back, sorry, not roll back. Save. Scroll back does this, so you're coming down here and it kind of disappears, and then as you roll back up it pops back up. So whichever one you prefer. For this site I kind of like it if it's basic. We basic. Okay, and you're like, well, what about my dang logo I just spent all this time on? Well, let's add it in there. So site title and logo. So this I wouldn't want test. I'd want it to be like creator design or whatever you want it to be. And then here's where you add the logo in. So what you want to do is you go into your XD file, because stuff is already the size you want. You can click right on this logo and you can hit on your keyboard, or you can go up to File, Export, Selected. So this is going to be DL logo, and I usually put web. And it's going to be a PNG, it's fine. Export. Okay, now if I go back to my site, I can upload logo. You can drag it and drop if you want, or you can just find it traditionally. So here it is. It's only 5 kilobytes, it's not bad. Click open. Okay, and then okay, sorry, kid was yelling. So logo here, it's a little big, so let's change the height. It's adjusted by the height. So I want like 25 pixels, and then it looks nice. And the mobile height is going to be around the same. I'm going to click back and save. So there's my header. It's all nice and happy. Here's what it looks like. Works for me. So now I'm going to go over to design, and what do I want? Spacing. So there's the site margin and the width. I leave the width fine, but the margin, I want to kind of bring that in a little bit. So it was bugging me how close it was. Ooh, what's going on with my logo here? That screwed up my logo here. I think it's because I have a set to inset. Nope, I have it full. Okay, Sometimes you just gotta reset stuff and it'll fix itself. How are we looking? Cool. It's a little tight in here personally, so I'm going to go into edit and on elements, nope, wrong. On style, there's the vertical padding. I'm gonna add just a little bit more vertical padding and save. Okay. Cool. So we got our header. It's nice. Now we need to do our footer. So that's this part. And if you will wait 1 second. Okay, so now we're doing the footer, and that's this area down here. On mine, I made it black. You can make it whatever you want. So we go back into edit, and we scroll down here, and this pops up and it says edit footer. So we click on that. You can have social links. You can have links to the different pages, which I highly recommend leaving. Given have this made with Squarespace, I usually delete that. So again, it's like these teardrop things, and here's where what you need to learn about Squarespace, and there's tons of tutorials and fun stuff. When you click on here, you can add type, code, quotes, images, whatever. I like to add a spacer, and what spacers do is, see how these lines pop up? You can put it here, and it slides all the content over. And then you can adjust it. That's how you do spacing. So I'm going to go back into my edit here. The content width is small. I want it large. I don't want it to be white. I want it to be the black. So I'm going to click on the dark minimal. And so that's cool looking. Okay. Anything you want to move, you can just, this hand appears, so you can click and drag it and see these lines that by the hand that pop up. That's where it's going to go. So I want it to be under these links. And over here, I want this logo. So I'm going to go back to XD. I'm going to click on my logo. I think this is grouped. Okay, I'm going to ungroup it. Click on just my logo there, and I'm going to go up to File, Export Selected. I'm going to call this one Footer Icon, PNG. Boom. And if I go back here, I can simply, so this one would put it on top of all that stuff. This would put it just up on the side. I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to click on Portfolio Site, Footer Icon, drag that sucker in there. And this is why we name stuff, because look, boom, it's already named. And anytime you add an image in, it wants to put a caption underneath it for some reason. So I go over to Design, and then it says caption below. We say do not display caption. Animations, you can have it sort of like fade in as people are scrolling. It'll do that. And we click apply. And I need this to be bigger. I'm not sure why it's doing that. The animation sometimes screws up stuff, so I'm going to take that off. Why am I doing this? This is one of those glitchy moments that you just have to be patient with sometimes. So this image box is this wide. I really want it over here, so what we do is I'm going to make another spacer, and I'm going to grab it and put it right there, and that slides it over. There's no like good way of me explaining this other than you have to get in here and sort of play around. It's annoying. That's why we like to have something to look forward to designing. And then you can also shrink these spacers up if they're a little bit too big, because I don't really care for how this is. In fact, I'm going to delete it, and then I want this to be down there. And it's really hard once you make it dark to actually see what the heck's going on, so sometimes it's easier to leave it white, and then you can see these things a little bit better. I can barely see them, but I'm looking really close. And then you want to always add, see how if I wanted to add this, I can do this and it does everything, or if I just want it under the spacer, I can click here, I can do text, and I can do and I want super tiny text. And then I want to open up a new one and do copyright symbol. And I'm going to take this little guy here, copy it, paste it in there, and write copyright Z Craner 2020. Boom. So I've got some of the stuff in there. You can right align these. You can make them extra tiny, regular. See, now we're starting to look more like what we were doing. I actually want these to be under like that. Oh, I want it to be, it's gonna be hard to get like that. There we go. Delete the spacer. This should really be over here. Okay, that's close. I could add in my links, which I should probably do. But you get the gist. Okay, so now we have a header, we have a footer, we have our logo all up in there, we have our 3 pages, we have the typeset, and we have the color set. Yeah, so if you want to set up some of these other things like the social, you want to go to settings, connected accounts, and this is where you can connect an account. So you click on it, you log in, click on it, log in, click on it, log in. It helps if you're already logged in, like in another tab, because when it clicks, it'll be like, okay, cool, got it. So I'm not going to do all that. You can Google how to do that. So other things we want to do, we want our about page. I know, Squarespace. So this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes you have to give it some time to breathe and think. Okay, so my about page looks like this. Yours doesn't have to look like this, right? It could just be this part. So I just wanted to show you how to build that. So we go in here. It's kind of right, but it's not really. So what I would do is I would add a section, and I'd click like this one, and I'd get rid of all this stuff. I don't want it, and I'll probably make it small, and then I'll move it up above. So this header is covering up a lot of that, which is fine. So I might make it medium, that way it's a little bit bigger. And then this is like a pre-designed thing. I really don't want it, so I'm just going to delete it and start fresh. But let's do this picture first. So here's the image. I usually what I'll do is I have on my desktop, I have portfolio assets, and I have that image here. It's big, look, it's 1.2 megabytes. So you want to make it smaller, and one way to do that is it's 3,670 pixels wide. You don't need it that big. So we can open up Photoshop. And we can take this picture, drag it in here, or I'll just right click. How about that? Oh, it's working. Never mind. So image size, let's just do 1920. Click OK. So it makes it smaller. And click save. Now it's 900 kilobytes. Perfect. That's still a little large for web. The smaller file size you get, the faster it loads, but also makes it look cruddy. So here's where that comes in. tinypng.com. You can come in here, drag that picture, compressing. He's gonna get excited when he's done. Yay! So now it's 200 kilobytes, right? Way better. Download, show in Finder. I'm gonna make a folder that says, oops, tiny. And then I'm gonna put the tiny one in there. I'm gonna rename it so it's not this crazy name from Unsplash. I'm gonna call it About Page Hero. Okay, so I come back over here. I'm gonna delete this. Back to my edit, background, remove. I can take this, I can drag it right here. It loads. Yay, fun times. So this little donut thing is kind of like in InDesign. So you can actually change the focus of where you want this to focus. But for this image, it doesn't matter. I just leave it in the middle. So we click done. So now we have this part. See? And then we want this, this, and this. So this is where it's kind of handy to export out of XD. So I can copy my face here. I'm going to put it out over here by these squares. And I'm going to hold down shift and drag it to this width. So it's 1080-ish. Yep. That way it's just high res. And then I'm going to select it. I'll go up to File, Export Selected. And under here, I'm going to call it Zcraner Face. You want to name it a little bit nicer than stuff like that, but you can put your whole name. Okay. I should have 2 of these, but it appears I only have 1. Okay, so here I am. I'm 1.5 megabytes. Way too big. Okay, refresh this page. I'm gonna drag myself back in there. So really what you want to do is tiny PNG all your images at once. You can do up to 20, so it saves a ton of time. I'm just sort of going through the step by step. So download, show in Finder. There I am. I usually will do like, I'm not sure why I typed AA, probably because it's right next to S. I'll do Squarespace build and do each page as a folder, but this is such a small site that I'm just gonna do it like this. So now I come in here, and what do I want? I want my page to look like this. So I have this part, and I want this and this. So I'm gonna come in here and click on one of these guys, and click image, and there's the upload image. So I'm gonna drag my tiny face in here. Whoa, not so tiny, huh? So it's the right aspect ratio. It has a stupid caption thing underneath. I don't want that, so I'm gonna edit, design, do not display caption. Not sure why I made my face pixely right there. That's weird. Looks like I have war paint on. Cool. So there's already text here. It's easy to like write something in there. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So there's 2 boxes here, right? I want to drag this one, and I want to put it next to this one. So that's what this line that pops up is. Boom. And this is too wide, so content width, medium. And then so if I have my text already done in here, I can just copy it, paste. I'm gonna add more text. I'm gonna come in here, grab that, paste. Oh, I don't like that. I'm gonna do a shift space to make it smaller. So right now this is the medium paragraph, so maybe I want my name to be the large paragraph, and I want it to be bold because I'm super cool. And then this is fine like that. And then we're like, well, I have a cool space here that makes it look a lot nicer. Well, that's easy. You just add one of these spacers, put it in between them, social distancing, and go like that. I'm not sure what happened there. That's weird. Okay. And I really don't want this break to happen like that, so I'm going to make another spacer, and I'm going to drag it and put it over here. And then I'm going to adjust some of this stuff. So don't freak out when you put something in and it screws everything up. Just realign, readjust. So we save. If we view it here, it should stack nicely. Nice. Image left, copy right. It will stack like that when it goes to mobile. That'll look sweet on a cell phone. LinkedIn profile, there's a contact me. So we'll click edit. We'll come in here. Let's add a spacer. And then let's add a button. And the button will say contact me, please. Then we edit the button. It's medium. Let's make it tiny. And let's align it left. And this is where you want it to actually do something. So the click through URL. So I click the gear, and you can do a web address, page, email, phone, file. We're going to do page. I'm going to search for the contact page. You don't want it to open a new window because it's still your own website. If it goes somewhere else, you want it to open a new window. And click save, apply, save. So now if we're looking at this website page, right, the about page, we're like, cool, he's got some war paint on his face. He's cool. Let's contact him. Boom. Takes you to the contact us page. Cool. Cool. So, let's do the contact page real quick. This is getting long. So the reason this doesn't work is I don't have it hooked up to anything. So our contact page has this type right here. I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go in here and edit. So it's nice to look at how pages are built too, right? Like from Squarespace. So I want a spacer that goes all the way across the top. And then I want some type. And that type will be this. And it's going to be a medium header. And it's going to be centered. And it's way too wide. So we can either add blocks to the sides, or we can actually make this a medium width. I like it being full width. So I'm just going to add some blocks, some spacers. So see how it's going to go here because that's where the line pops up. And I make it tiny. And I make another one. And put it over here. And I make it tiny. Make sure they're the same size roughly. Boom. Contact me because we're not an us. Oh, I have it email me. What do I have in here? Contact details and email me. Yeah, whatever. I don't want my address on there. I can just put Cleveland, Ohio. And then this is where you put your phone number, your email, and then your social links. And then over here, you can have it be a form. So they can just type in their name, email, and message. You need to link it to something. So you click on form. There's a whole form builder. I'm not going to get into it because if you click on a general one, it should be good. Storage is important. So you need it to go somewhere. So you can have it go to a MailChimp, you can have it go to a Google Drive, or you can have it go to your email. You click apply. So now this form will work. And go up to done and save. So now if we're looking and people are like, wow, how cool, contact, boom, okay, I'm gonna do it, right? Send, boom, get email. So there's about, contact, and then the portfolio. And so if you're going to use this setup, this type of portfolio site, you can just use like their existing portfolio. I mentioned a few times in class that if you build a site sort of like my Awesome Otter one, like the portfolio is actually a blog. So all of these are blog pages. And these are actually a bunch of images just next to each other in a carousel. Ooh, I need to get rid of that. Okay. And then some copy, and then you can go right into the next thing. So you can set it up like this if you want. But if you're doing this layout, it's just easier to use their thing. So I'll click on portfolio. This is already done in Squares, so perfect. I'm going to use Squares. So I'm going to come over here. I've got these horizontal ones where I have my squares. So I'm going to go with the squares. I'm going to click on each one of these. And I'm going to go up to File, Export, Selected. And let's put them in here. I'll do PNGs, export. Let's peek at how big these are. Whoa, those are some big files. It might be because they're PNGs. Let me add all these into a PNG. And I'll make one that's JPEG. PNG is better for type. JPEG's better for pictures. So File, Export, Selected. Let's put them in the JPEGs folder and let's save them as JPEGs. .4 versus 2.2. Yeah, so they're a lot smaller. So I'm going to go over to Tiny PNG. Now Squarespace will like compress some of this stuff for you already, but I like to give it a little bit extra. So I have 8 items. I'm going to drag them in here. They're going to do their thing. Okay, and then you can click this download all. So it made all these super small compared to what they were. And it creates this tinified zip folder. So I open that in Finder. And then unzip it. And then I'll just drag this and put it in here. So that way I have the originals, because like for Instagram, I'm going to want to upload these ones, right? But for the tiny ones, I can upload to my website. Okay. This guy's still figuring out his life over here, so let's refresh him. Okay, so let me make sure I know how that their I've been doing my portfolios as blogs for so long now that I'm trying to make sure I know what the heck I'm doing. So if we click on peaks, when it jumps in, it's copy, images, and then it goes to the next one. It's pretty much the same. So if I click on settings, there's a few things. There's the title, there's the slug, there's the main image. So I'm going to remove this image, and I'm going to start with the lines. So I'm going to upload the line picture. Let's just assume that this project is called lines. And then, so my slug would be lines. And here it only does dashes. So if you try to do a space, it just does nothing. So you can do lines, graphic design, and there's no capitals. SEO, lines by Craner Design, that's how it'll look. Gotta click save. Next one is coast. Let's switch that. So remove. Let's do a collage. Save. Wildlife. We're going to do the I see you. Let's try to be fancy here and do some actual capitalization. That'd be nice, huh? I see you. Save. A couple more here. Feel free to pause this video if you get bored. It's a lot. Okay. Face. Apparently there's food for me. Horizon. We'll do the hand. Oh, cancel. We already did lines. We'll do this oil paint. I don't know that's what it is, but that's what I'm calling it. This one we'll do the pineapple. And last but not least, we'll do, I called this one Southwest because it's got this like Southwest vibe to it, but it's a painting. Let's do South by Southwest. Okay, save. Okay, so once again, we have all this done. This one did not save the picture. Jerk. Two, three. Cool, save. So then we go in here, we have lines. We can edit lines. So obviously we don't want these pictures. I'm just going to delete this whole section. So there's the copy section. So whatever, you change this to whatever you want. So we could do like large paragraph. That looks a little bit nicer. And then let's add a section above. And this is where you can do a few things. So you can add a gallery. And it can be a bunch of pictures, right? Or it can be, I really like these carousels. You can do full bleed, which is cool. You can make the height smaller. You can move where the arrows are, like them on the overflow side like that. And there's a real, there's full, there's stripes, sample, grid, whatever. So we could do this, right? And then it's sort of similar where you have these pictures. So if I had like, if I had 3 of the same picture, or 3 not of the same project, different pictures, right? Could go like that, close. They're loading. Close. Save. And so this is sort of what it would look like, right? You can have multiple pictures in there. Or if you're like, ooh, that doesn't really work with this one. You can go back into edit, click on this, and you can do slideshows like this. So then when you click on the new picture, it would just go, we can do grid simple. So it'd be grids like this. This one's not loading. And you can add columns, so you can have 3 column, and you can have them squares. You can add some spacing between them. Let's see why that other picture's not loading. Just for so you can see differences, let's add a couple different pictures in there, but imagine these are all for the same project. So if you have like your T-box project or something, you have 1, 2, 3, right? So you can view it like this, which is cool. This section actually needs to be a little bit smaller. There we go. That visually looks a little bit better. So yeah, you can have it like that. You can have these weird strip things. You can have a slideshow where when you click on the new picture, or you can have it, I really like this real one, but it doesn't always work great for real. Yeah, I always like this one, but it doesn't always work great. But I think it's kind of cool. And then this would be your copy. And then you save, and you do the same thing for the next one. So you can just do like a bunch of pictures and then copy at the bottom, or you can like design the page however you want. So this is a gallery already, so let's delete that. So maybe I want to add content, and I just look through here and I'm like, I like this, and then I want one to go this way, and then I want the last one to go back this way, but these maybe are a little bit too high, so let's make them shorter. And so I'm going to save just so it doesn't have a freak out. Worked with Squarespace enough, I know when it's about to glitch up, so I give it a little break. So then, like, this is a image card, so I can be like, okay, forget this picture. I should have imported photos already. So this is the pineapple. Apply. This is a cool oil spill thing. And oops, search for images. This is that cool line art thing. Apply. And I don't really want buttons on each one, so I can edit. Sorry. Design. I can take off the button. I could say this is this and this is that. So you can really make your pages whatever the heck you want. The only reason I do them as a blog is because it has a little bit better SEO, and you can it has a date, so it's like, oh, this is new content. This website's continually publishing new content, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's how you can set it up. So once you play around with some of these, maybe like you love this style and it's gonna work for all 10 or whatever of your projects, just do them all like this. Just make sure that you go in and you're setting up this image and the title and the slug, because then when someone clicks on your portfolio, which is your home page, it shows them all like right here, right? And that's what you want. So just like that, I'm not sure how long this has been, but we've basically made our site, but we did a ton of prep work beforehand. If you're like, oh, I hate that there's only 3, click on this gear, see what's up. It's not in there. Okay, so let's let's see, where is this? So under design, image blocks. Let me find out where this is. Okay, I can't find it. Oh, okay. So, sorry. Like I said, I haven't done the portfolio or the gallery stuff as much. So I'm on my portfolio homepage, right? I click edit, and this is where you can manage the design. So it's a simple grid, or you can do hover. Whoa. So like you can do crazy stuff, right? Like that's pretty cool. Or you can do fixed. Sorry, it's probably loading. Okay, yeah, so it's like that. Or you can do grid overlay, which I like this one a lot, right? So that way when you're hovering over, it says the name of what it is, which is pretty cool. So that one's called grid overlay. And you can do full width, you can do large. So here it's on 3 columns. Let's add it to 4. So that looks pretty cool, right? And then you can mess with the spacing between them. Maybe you want it to be 20. You always want these to be the same though. I think it looks really gross when there's different heights. But maybe I want some space, so I'll go back up to 30. Text placement center, show after hover. Opacity, you can change this opacity. This looks nice. Height, large. You can inset it. Or you can do full width. So that's pretty cool. So now let's look at this. This is our site. So we have these, and then you click on it, and it goes right into the project, and you can go back from here to that one, or you can go back to the home. I don't like how far away this is. It's kind of bugging me. Let's see how we can fix that. Oh, that's because let's do a small height. There we go. So now that should look a lot nicer. Yeah. So what's cool is like if I had another row of projects that just pushes us down, but you can almost see everything all at once. You can click on them and they're like cool, interactive. Some of this stuff is really kind of cool with the like it's pretty awesome. Whoa, it's pretty cool. You gotta be a certain kind of cool to pull that off. I clearly am not, so I would do more something in this grid overlay settings. It's got some motion. It's cool. I think this changed my setting again. No, it didn't. Okay. So, and if you were using the other, if you're like, man, squares suck, you can do this 3:2, but you need to export your images at that size. And that's pretty much how you set it up. I can go over in class how we set up everything else. So like there's domains, and you get a free domain with when you purchase and make your site live, you get a free domain, but it's only for a year. So if you don't want to use it, don't use it, because you'll have to pay for it after a year. But you can always change this. So this is the before Squarespace, so we can be like class apparently I can't type. One. So now it's class portfolio test1.squarespace.com. So you can put your name.squarespace.com if you're not buying a domain name. I highly recommend buying them. It's like $8 a year through Namecheap, but it's up to you. So yeah, that's how you do this. So if you have questions, email me, look up tutorials. There's tons. So peace.